evening, everybody. At this time, I am going to open up our first public hearing, which is a public hearing on the draft plan of the Glens Smart Growth Comprehensive Plan. And we have two representatives here from EDR, which is the firm that we have contracted with to do this work. Laura, are you going to meet Laura and Sue? Take it away.
Hi, thank you. I'm Laura Lorenzo. I'm with EDR. Thank you all for coming. So we're just going to give a quick overview of the plan. It's posted, it's online, as I'm sure most of you know because you're here at this public hearing. It's 215 pages. We're just going to give you a quick overview of the planning process and some impressions from the plan, and then we'll have the hearing. What is a smart growth comprehensive plan? So in a nutshell, a comprehensive plan is taking a look at your existing conditions, what you have today, what would you like it to be in the future, what would you like it to look like, feel like, be, and how do we get there? It gives you the steps to get there. This establishes, the benefits of having this is it establishes this shared vision which you can be using to direct your development in a more orderly fashion based on this plan that was built with community input. So it's creating that blueprint for your local decision makers and providing also a legal foundation for zoning. That's one piece of this. We'll get to that in the presentation as well. And it's informing those various needs, your housing, your service needs to support your future population and potential future development. This is a smart growth comprehensive plan. It was funded by the Department of State. And smart growth is essentially these best practices you see on the screen. Supporting walkability, supporting compact design, housing choices, walkable neighborhoods, attractive communities with a strong sense of character, sense of place, a variety of transportation choices appropriate to the scale and type of community. Developing within your existing communities, doing infill, making sure it's matching your existing character, considering your environment, your surroundings, your natural resources, predictable, fair, cost-effective development, and collaboration with the community based on what the community needs are and community input. So these were guiding principles for the development of the plan. And what is in the plan? So it was came together with a lot of public input, which I'll speak to in a second. And the plan includes an overview of that input from the planning process, a community profile, which is sort of deep dive into your existing conditions, this desktop analysis that we did on the various, your housing, infrastructure, economic needs, etc. The vision that was developed with the community. And then we have policy areas that came out of that vision that informed a set of recommendations, which we'll go through. There's many, but we'll flash them up on the screen so you can sort of get a sense of what the recommendations are. And the future land use map, which we'll speak to. And this is all summarized for your planners in your city in a nice implementation chart, which gives you a step-by-step. Here's how to implement the plan. So those are the various pieces of this plan. This was led by a local comprehensive planning committee. They're here. This information is also available on the project website. In terms of community engagement, this was a community-driven process. We received thousands of comments from hundreds of participants throughout the planning process that included 2 community open houses, a community-wide survey. We also did some focus groups with particular stakeholders with particular interests, such as your tourism stakeholders, bike ped, public transit stakeholders, young professionals, local employers, etc., to get some of their specific input. We had 9 comprehensive planning committee meetings, so they were guiding this process throughout from 2004 to today. And we also did some various pop-up events to make sure we were getting the word out into the community and meeting people where they were.
Can I point out that it was in 2025, those open houses and public hearings, not 2026.
Sorry,
July.
I should say 2025. Okay. Thank you.
It's not the future, it already happened.
So to give you a sense of what we've heard about, in terms of assets, what we really like about Glens Falls. I mean, we heard a lot of assets. People in general were very pleased with the development that's been going on in the city, the downtown, how it's been revitalized. And in general, we heard a lot about let's keep doing this, let's keep the momentum, let's keep growing, building in the way that we're doing. We're really happy with a lot of the assets that you have. Those include a very walkable, compact city. You can access your amenities quite easily. Vibrant downtown and dining scene. Historic character, unique architecture, that sense of place that the city has. Great natural resources, diverse recreational resources that are easily accessible from different parts of the city. Very strong community and quality of life, safe, affordable. So lots of good things, hearing a lot of good things there. Also those healthcare, education amenities that you have in the city that not all cities have, so appreciation for those. Strong arts and culture scene, amenities, tourism, both locally, regionally, and nationally. And that sense of civic identity and pride. So residents really admire the city's revival and the resources that you have here in the community. In terms of challenges, to give you a sense of some things we heard, housing affordability, diversity, not having enough options for some of the people that would like to get in to the city, jobs and economic opportunities, so some limited availability maybe of better paying jobs or anchors, diverse types of opportunities is what we were hearing. Transportation infrastructure, we heard about walkability, but an interest to continue improving bicycle, pedestrian, public transit infrastructure for the city. We heard about some various parking challenges that people would like to see addressed. Inclusion and community engagement. We heard about how improving economic and racial diversity could be an innovation, opportunity potentially for some more innovation, continue sparking that. Some lack of maybe visibility of the different ways to get involved, how the current existing ways to get involved, making sure it's clear to the participants, to the residents, and potentially expanding some of those opportunities as well for civic participation. And then in terms of planning and development, some general concerns about making sure the development's not unchecked, that we're doing it in a logical, planned manner that's matching the interests and needs of and character of the community and the neighborhoods. So we took, with all the public input we heard, with specific comments on the vision, there's a vision statement in here for what we'd like, for what the community would like the city to look like now, in the next 10 years or so. This is the vision that we're going towards. I'm not going to read it, but it's here on the screen. And this was developed directly with the committee and with the public to provide a guide and basis for your comprehensive plan. And now I'll pass it over to Sue, who's going to take us through the recommendations and give a high level, at a high level to the many recommendations that we included in the plan.
So, we met together with the CPC, we listened to what the public told us, we came up with a vision statement as a group, and then we said, how do we make this happen? And the first thing that we did is we created 10 policy areas. So that's how we organized our goals and our recommendations, sort of by theme. And the first policy area is administration and government. And I know that this is very small text and it's hard to read. If you go online and find a copy of the plan, go to the implementation matrix, and this has the policy areas, the goals, the recommendations, and you can see that. So, for administration and government, big thing, the push, the reason behind doing this one is we want to ensure that the government serves the community's needs by supplying services that promote quality of life and economic growth. How do we make that happen? What are the action steps that the city should take? And the first is to establish a planning and development committee, which has already happened and is up and running. The second, increasing staff capacity and making sure that you have the folks on hand that you need to advance economic development and planning in the city. You've got lots of boards. We want to make sure that they have proper training, and some of it's required, but sometimes it's nice to have a little extra. So make sure that members of discretionary boards have the training they need. And finally, you want to continue to enjoy and foster a high level of civic engagement. And how do you do that? You make sure that things are accessible, they're online, they're available, that people know all the good things that are going on in the community. So our second bucket area, policy area or bucket, was the built environment. And this was a biggie. One thing we heard from everybody, from the CPC, from the community, was, we've got great historic character. Yes, we want to grow. Yes, we want to expand. But we want to make sure that we preserve what's important and what makes Glens Falls unique. So when we're developing, keep that in mind. So again, how do you make that happen? Well, you review and update the city code. You develop design guidelines and standards. And you continue to embrace the smart growth principles. Those are the things that Laura walked through that are really just the fundamentals of good planning. So that's supporting infill, rehabilitation, and redevelopment, and encouraging development where residents can easily or safely walk or bike. Economic development, again, this was a key factor in the community. And so overall, we want to support existing businesses, and we want to attract new ones to the area. We want to make sure that we're catering to the needs of both the people that visit, but also the people that live here on a daily basis. So again, how do we do that? Well, you've got a great cluster of key industries in place, so let's build on those. You've got healthcare and social services, you have light manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, you've got a great tourism, retail. So those are economic drivers. Lean into those, build on those. You also should create a business resource page, so sort of a one-stop shop. So if somebody's coming to town and wants to start a business, what a great place to start. Just visit the city website, and it'll give you links to different folks that you should talk to or organizations. You also have fantastic economic development partners in the area, in the region. Continue to work with them, continue to leverage that talent. You also have revitalizing abandoned, vacant, and brownfield sites to support growth, and the city is already taking great strides in doing that. So continue working with New York State. They have a program called Brownfield Opportunity Area, or BOA. Work with them, work with federal EPA, work with the TEC. And also come up with an action-oriented marketing plan, an annual budget that's going to help you to develop and transform those abandoned properties or underutilized properties and get it back on the tax rolls. Continuing with economic development, you have something that a lot of communities don't have. You've got the Hudson River right there on your boundary. Leverage it, take advantage of it. Back in 2008, you were part of a regional, it's called a Local Waterfront Revitalization Plan, an LWRP. Implement those recommendations. We also recommend that the city prepare their own LWRP. Then you can set your own specific boundaries and specific projects that would benefit the city. And back in 2013, we did a redevelopment and connection plan for Pines Island. It's a little dated. Revisit it, update it, implement it. Doing wonderful things with Haviland's Cove. Keep it up. Keep implementing those things. Again, we've got the Hudson River. Make sure people know how to get there. Get that directional and wayfinding signage. Same with the Glens Falls Feeder Canal Trail. Make sure you've got signage and people can easily access it and take advantage. I think you're already doing this. Establish the city of Glens Falls as a destination for arts and culture. Again, what great partners you have right here. Continue to work with them. And the same with your tourism development. Continue to partner with those folks. Housing. I would say this is the #1 issue we heard across the board. So we need to increase the variety and affordability of housing choices for all ages and abilities. How do you do that? Again, make sure that you're reviewing your zoning and addressing that. We've got fantastic programs through HUD and other federal and state grants. Continue to market those and let people know they're available. Really focus on the needs of seniors, young families, and the local workforce when you're looking at new housing options. Continue to maintain an up-to-date housing conditions report and inventory, and continue to provide housing programs that provide technical and financial assistance to your residents. Infrastructure. You want to grow, you want to have that economic development, you need to have good infrastructure in place. How do you do that? Develop a capital improvement plan, develop a water and sewer infrastructure facilities plan. Continue to maintain and improve the city's pedestrian facilities geodatabase, and develop and implement a master streetscape improvement plan so that it is easy to walk around. Consider alternative modes of transportation. You've already got a complete streets policy in place. Continue to incorporate that into your projects. Implement all of the recommendations from the regional bike plan. And support development of a multi-mobility hub. Parking and transportation circulation. Every community thinks they've got a parking problem. Sometimes it's a signage problem. That might be the case here. So develop a right-sized parking and signage plan. You want to continue to enhance those bicycle and pedestrian connections between neighborhoods and downtown. You want to work with the Feeder Canal Trail and the Warren County Bikeway. Implement the recommendations that were done for the Glens Falls Middle and High School Circulation Study, improve safety. And collaborate with not-for-profit, civic organizations to implement any gateway enhancements. Parks and Rec, again, you guys have a great parks plan. One of the things we would recommend is to do an overall assessment of that plan. Are some of the parks needing a little boost? Maybe Eastfield. So just do a big master plan, a checklist of your wish list of things you'd like to see happen. Continue to prioritize funding for the continued maintenance of those parks and recreation facilities. Design and implement park facilities and streetscape enhancements that reflect the city's history and the culture. Leverage and promote your existing recreation assets and natural resources, not only for your residents, but also maybe for sports tourism opportunities. Arts, culture, and history, preserve and promote the city's artistic, historic, and cultural assets. Again, you've got a lot of them. Continue to partner with all of your neighbors. You want to collaborate with developers, business, and arts organizations to fund and support any public art initiatives. You want to manage growth and development in a manner that is preserving the history. You want to encourage initiatives that elevate the visibility and accessibility of all these great cultural and historic assets. If property owners are interested in getting their property nominated to the National and/or State Register of Historic Properties, provide them support, letter of support.
Excuse me, one second. Sir, we will take public comment
I
afterwards.
was asking for her to use the microphone.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I can see, and I apologize, I can talk louder. Wow, nobody tells me I'm too quiet. Okay, can you hear me? Is that better?
There's a solution.
There we go. All right.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I lost my train of thought there. I think that was it for arts culture. Sustainability, this is a smart growth plan. So we want to make sure that we are promoting a sustainable environment, energy efficiency, and hazard mitigation.
Now they can
Okay. Now that I have a microphone, I can go wherever. Okay, so you guys have prepared a climate action plan. So that's something that you want to maintain. You have a bronze status as a climate smart community. Take steps to advance that to silver. Continue participating in the clean energy community programs that are administered by NYSERDA. As I just mentioned, you have a climate action plan that was prepared in 2025. Look to implement those recommendations. Explore how sustainability and green infrastructure techniques can become codified and standard practice. For green infrastructure, that could be a rain garden or a bioswale. And then work with the Glens Falls Tree Commission to keep the tree inventory current and develop a maintenance plan. Continuing with sustainability, this is not unique to Glens Falls. Everybody is more vulnerable to flooding and other hazard events now. So continue to participate in the Warren County All Hazards Mitigation Plan. And also promote any approaches that are going to improve your stormwater, reduce impervious pavements, and enhance the natural systems as part of your public and private development projects. And then we also, you can reduce your dependence on fossil fuels and lower greenhouse gas emissions. Again, how can you do that? Think about purchasing and installing possibly explore vehicles and infrastructure to use alternative fuels when you're replacing any city vehicles, and conduct a comprehensive municipal energy audit. Last policy area, so this is downtown. You guys have done so much over the last 10 years in downtown. How do you keep that going? You want to build new opportunities, so continue to redevelop the main thoroughfares within the downtown area. You want to consider adding safe pedestrian-only areas and public spaces, and then continue to explore, as we talked about, the redevelopment of your vacant, abandoned, and underutilized brownfield properties. Okay, future land use map. All right, so a future land use map was prepared with the CDC, with the committee. It was brought to the community at the second public open house for comment and feedback. And basically what this is, it's a community's visual guide to future planning. So all of these recommendations that we just discussed, what's the impact of that on the community? Where do you want houses and businesses to be built? Where should open spaces persist? Are there opportunities for new recreation facilities? If so, where should they go? Very important, a future land use map should not be confused with a zoning map. I'll say that again. A future land use map is not a zoning map. It guides a future zoning map, but they are two different things. What this map has is character areas, and those define how an area should look and feel and kind of what mix of uses would work well there. And again, these character areas should not be interpreted as zoning districts. So what's the one takeaway today? Future land use map is not equal zoning map. So this is the future land use map that we came up with. We sometimes in the office call this a block map because it does not follow parcel boundaries. It's very loose, and it just gives character areas. So under the light yellow, that's residential. This hot pink here, that's a commercial corridor. The brown is downtown. We've got neighborhood mixed use, which is kind of this orangey color. We've got open spaces, which is a lime green. We've got, we're talking about residential, and there's walking there. And when we have urban mixed use, is sort of this deeper peach color. Yeah, it's peachy color. So, all right, so next steps. The city is going to continue to receive public comments. There'll be another public hearing in 2 weeks. You can also get online and submit your comments by noon on May 1st to the Director of Planning and Zoning. The team is going to review all the public input that is gathered, and we will be working with city staff and the New York State Department of State to incorporate those comments. And then we will be preparing the final draft. A copy will be available at City Hall. You'll be able to go to the City of Glens Falls website to see the final draft, or you can go to gfcomplan.com, which is the project website. We'll have a final copy of that there. When we get through all that, the City Council hopefully will adopt the plan.
Okay, thank you. Allison, I don't know if you want to say anything about gathering feedback and our plans to integrate and, sorry, I put you on the spot there,
So the next big step for the city will be adopting this plan, but we don't want to do that without, final comments from the public and ensuring that this is really reflecting, what we as a community want to see our city in the future, right? This plan is supposed to be our vision for the next 10 to 15 years. So that, with that in mind, we would love to hear, comment today, email me comments. We'll be gathering all that and making revisions to the plan as appropriate. So as you, along the way, we've gathered this public comment. We want to really make sure it's solidified there. And then, when appropriate, the county council will adopt the plan. The next priority is to apply for funding from the same funding source. It's the Department of State Smart Growth Planning Grant Program. to update our zoning code. Our zoning code works, but it could be better. There are some things that are outdated, and some things that are inhibiting development in the way that we would like to see in the city. As someone who's on the zoning board for 6 years, we see a lot of kind of unnecessary approvals and some things that lack some particular guidance for our boards. So that is something that we hope to improve upon based on the recommendations of the plan and what we hear from the community. So that's our next goal. We're looking maybe around June for adoption now, but we'll somewhere in that time frame. So keep an eye out there, and I hope to hear from you.
Thank you. Allison is our new Director of Planning and Zoning, and it will be her job to oversee that we are using our comprehensive plan as a guide to apply for grant funding and move the city forward. And as she said, our next step is to look at our zoning code. So we want all of your feedback. At this time, I don't know if the Common Council has any questions for EDR about anything. And then after that, we'll open it up to public comment.
Just a quick question. So we talked about adoption tonight. And I think the last plan that we had, which came into being, I think, right around the turn of the century, said, but I don't believe the city ever adopted it.
Yeah.
And so if we adopt a plan, can we then change it if we find something we can?
Comprehensive plans are what we call the living document. So we always want to update it. Oftentimes we say a review annually, but like update every 5 years or so, just to make sure it does truly reflect what's happening in the city.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll open up the floor to public comment. If you come up, just state your name and your address and speak into the microphone. Oh,
I got it.
microphone. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak about the comprehensive plan at this point? And if there's not, again, there's multiple methods for you to give us feedback after you've had time to think about it. So with nothing further, I will close the public hearing on the comprehensive plan. Thank you for being here. And now I will open the public hearing for a proposed amendment to the City Code, Chapter 208, concerning vehicles and traffic, specifically City Code 208-25, 208-66, and repeal of City Code 208-75. This is related to our parking laws. Is there anybody from the public who would like to address us regarding this proposed change?
Could you say what that change is? Does this have to do with overnight parking?
It's not about overnight parking. It's about two things. I'll give you a quick overview, and if Councilman Rice wants to chime in, if you want to, or our city attorney who they worked on this in the policy committee. But what we're doing here is two things. One, we're changing the parking limit downtown from 2 to 3 hours. We feel that gives people time to come do their business in the city, whether they have a meeting or shopping, and maybe get some lunch without having to worry about getting a ticket. And then we are removing the time limit outside of the downtown area. So that is the change, and this is applying to the daytime. And you're welcome to come up if you have a public comment. Yes, got this. Yeah.
I guess I have a public question.
And just, if you could state your name and your address for the record.
My name is William Damon, and I don't live in the city.
That's okay. Where do you live?
I live in South Falls,
Okay.
and I operate a business in the city.
Okay.
My question is, when will the parking policies be enforced?
So we plan to enforce this as soon as this law is adopted.
I mean, which days and times will the parking policy be enforced?
Do you want to answer? I'm not sure if I understand that.
What did we say, until 6 p.m.?
Oh, what time will the at the time limit? Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 hour time limit is during
Okay.
the day from,
9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
And they'll be enforced by a parking official in the
Uh-huh.
city?
Yeah.
And 7 days a week comes back?
is it 7
No.
Monday to Friday?
Monday to
Monday to
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. My only comment is that I think that businesses that operate heavily, their volume on the weekend, are not protected or considered to the same degree as businesses who have a traditional Monday through Friday schedule in the city. That's the only-
Are you saying you would like the 3-hour time limit to apply on the weekends as well? Is that your comment?
No, not necessarily. I think if we're going to have a policy that's to be distributed, to be effectively administered, it should be evenly applied. So 7 days a week makes sense if that's the case. My concern is we're going to then pay somebody, presumably, to enforce that policy, right? And now, certainly one person can't do it 7 days a week, so we've added additional costs. The businesses who primarily operate Monday through Friday on a traditional daytime schedule have the protections now of the parking policy. Folks will be encouraged to move along in that period of time, and essentially the plan is to benefit those businesses. I find that is not necessarily an even application of our policy when some businesses, particularly in the food and beverage industry, do the majority of the business on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's just my perspective.
No, that's good. That's why we're here. We want the feedback. I just want to make sure I understand your feedback. You're hoping that we extend the timed parking through the weekend. Is that what you're asking? That's the only
No,
enforcement.
I guess I'd like partners, time frame to go away altogether.
Okay.
That's mine.
Okay.
If we're not going to apply the policy evenly, 7 days a week through the time frame, I think it is a biased policy that only protects, again, those businesses who do the majority of their business Monday through Friday.
Okay.
Thank you.
I've noted your comment. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Melissa Ray, I live on Sherman Avenue. And just to follow up on this gentleman's question, I came to the Band Film Festival, and I didn't know that the parking restrictions didn't qualify on the weekend. The signage didn't say that. So if you're going to revamp, you may want to consider having the signage be complementary to the new rules.
That's a good point, and we are going to be updating all of our signage. Yes.
The other thing is, I am trying to, patronize businesses, and parking is a problem. Going to the Band Film Festival has been a problem, and it wasn't just this year with the Thunder having, games the same night. But just out of curiosity, how many people drove here tonight? It's a lot. And I'm hearing about, improving pedestrian common areas in this plan, this comprehensive plan. And I think that's good. But we live in the North Country. And this year we had very cold weather, very snowy weather. And as a pedestrian, the streets sidewalks aren't passable. Okay, and it's a problem. People don't shovel.
I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but the comments at this time are just about this parking law, but you're welcome to come back up when this public hearing is over to talk about any other issue you want.
Parking is a problem when you try to patronize businesses downtown. Okay?
Yes,
All right.
we agree.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Hi, my name is Christy Alexander. I do live in Queensbury, but I own WorkSmart Co-working and Meeting Space, which is located in the First National Bank building on Glens Street. And I will confirm what has been said. Parking is a problem. But first I want to start with a question. You were saying, and I'm sorry that I don't have clarity on what's being discussed. But you were saying that outside of the downtown district, it will not be enforced as an hourly limit. Can you clarify where Okay, so this doesn't really answer my question. I will just share from my perspective. As a co-working space, for those of you who don't know, we are set up with 19 private offices, a conference room, a meeting room, a boardroom, and a large open space. We've extensively renovated the inside of the historic building to be the business. We launched in 2018. We found great success on Warren Street. We relocated and renovated the interior of the bank building. When the building was purchased by the building owner, they were required to secure parking, which they did through TD Bank. As many of you I'm sure know, that there was an exchange with the TD Bank's drive-through and parking space, which meant they did not renew the lease that the building had. We lost all of our parking. As a result, the business has suffered because typically what we would get is full-day reservations, people coming in and working for the entire day in their office, in the shared space, people coming for, I mean, a 2-hour meeting is nothing. That barely covers ground for a meeting with their clients. So as a result, our businesses have suffered. We have built we wrote a blog and we detailed, very detailed map to tell people where parking is, the time limits, and then there is that one street, Washington Street, where there is no limit. In the beginning, initially, that street was pretty empty. We were all able to park there. That street is filling up. The word has gotten out. We do get a lot of hits on that blog, so that's good. But the word is getting out, and our parking is, again, very limited. So I just wanted to share that. It's a problem. It's a problem for my business.
Did you have a comment about this law specifically, or just the parking in general? Was there something about this particular?
Thank you for asking. Well, I do see the need for retail and restaurants to have a limit on parking. I agree that overall it's hurting downtown business. It's not helping. It just isn't. People want to come down. We want them to come down. We want them to spend time, walk around. I'm a walker, so I have no problem parking a few blocks away and walking, but most people recognize that we've got a parking problem and it detracts them from coming down and bringing business downtown. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just the outside areas, it'll be even closer than Washington. So it'll be, I think it's more like the Verizon building out.
Okay,
So out away from the downtown.
okay.
I can't remember the name of the street. But
Okay.
Pine Street. Yeah. So and then that'll go around, and we'll be able to have some signage that there's parking available outside the downtown area that isn't timed.
Yeah.
And then we can have staff kind of go to that area and hopefully free up some space downtown. And also having a little bit longer time frame that people who are parking downtown will be able to go. And then hopefully that'll alleviate this. This is one of our steps that we're trying to take to address this. So this is like the first step. We'll see how it pans out. We're also pursuing other availabilities as well.
Yeah. So beginning this term, we definitely were all in agreement that we wanted to make progress on parking. We recognize all the things you're saying. This was our first action that we've been able to bring through committee, through the Board of Public Safety, through the Common Council, and now we're coming to you for public comment. And it's just one of the steps we're going to be taking to address parking. But I think this will bring some relief for sure, because the outer streets will be open up for people to park. And as you said, 2 hours is not a lot of time. Now you'll have 3 in just the downtown area. So it's a very good first step. Is there any other public comment? Okay. Yes.
Art Belden, Washington Street, right here in Glens Falls. I see you park on our street all the time, which is, it's opened up, so it's fine. But I wonder about all the comments you guys are getting from downtown about this 2-hour thing. And it's a problem, I believe, with a lot of red with the owners of these businesses, that when you see a logo business of one proprietor parked in front of another business all day long, right in that commercial corridor, and if you guys don't drive around down there, look, it's pretty obvious that these owners are having their employees and their own vehicles in front of their own businesses, and they're the ones getting the tickets when they do get them, and complaining about this issue, instead of them taking and parking somewhere on the outskirts and allowing the customers to come down. I think a little mindset has to change here.
And that's really the goal of this program, is to allow for the people who work to park maybe a couple blocks away and leave those spots in front for people who are patrons of the businesses.
Yeah, and to be clear, the issue had been that we were giving no place, no direction about where you could park if your staff outside of the downtown area. So now we have said that we're not going to be enforcing this time limit in the outskirts residential area. So that should allow some of this parking to free up.
Can I just make another comment? I do want to say one thing in regards to what Art was saying. I'm a business operator. I certainly understand the need for there to be movement, in the city in terms of people and customers coming in. But we have employees, right, who are, in my case, entry level, and I can't get them to tie their shoes, let alone park 4 blocks away, right? So maybe that's some of my problem and not the city's, right? But also, in the middle of January, I can move my car one spot forward, and I've now complied with the laws. Are we facilitating the needs of the city by the policy if I can simply do that, right?
Well, I would hope, our goal is that we would hope businesses would want to be part of the solution and park a couple blocks away, instructor employees to park a couple blocks away and walk if possible, so that those spots will be open for people who are turning over. That's the goal. So that's what we're hoping for.
Formally, there's a 2-hour limit throughout the city.
Right.
Period. So that means, no employee can theoretically park on the street.
They still do, right?
But,
And they leave my business every 2 hours to move their car, causing,
but now, they can park outside of the downtown area,
Yeah.
legally on the street, no problem.
I'll
That's
have to
why-
ask them kindly to do so.
Yeah.
But we wish that you would.
Yes.
I-
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else wish to address us regarding this? Okay, at this time I will close the public hearing on the parking, and we will move into our regularly scheduled council meeting. So I will bring to order the common council meeting of April 14th. And our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Dunn.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we have a public comment section, but before we get into public comment, I asked a member of our police department to join us. This is Detective Sergeant Nate Warrington, if you wouldn't mind coming forward, and I appreciate you being here. We've had a lot of comments and questions about kids on bikes recently, and so I've asked Detective Warrington to be here to answer our questions and share some data with us.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me here. First, we give the Common Council a couple of pamphlets. So, my name is Detective Sergeant Nate Warrington. I've been with Glens Falls Police Department for a couple of years, recently promoted to Detective Sergeant. So, I was working patrol last summer. I'm also a member of our bike patrol unit, so that consisted of me going to 40-hour training, basically honing in on bicycle safety, bicycle operation, how to safely patrol on a bicycle in a fashion, responding about the laws pertaining to the citizens, so that we can enforce those, because you can't control a bike path with a patrol car. So they have to go on bicycle there. A few things that we have been doing recently as a police department is education, not only for the public, but for our officers. Coming up in about 2 weeks, we are participating in a training. About a third of our department is participating in training with the New York Bike Coalition. We are being taught by a couple of people that go across the state, going to different police agencies, and sharing some updates. The biggest change recently is electric bicycles and electric scooters. And technology has moved much faster than the laws could catch up with. So for many of our officers that have been officers for more than 5 years, there weren't many electric bicycles out at that time. So that's something that our department's trying to make sure all of our officers are educated on, and make sure that we're comfortable enforcing these newer laws that have come into place in the last couple of years, and accident reporting and things like that.
Detective, would you mind speaking into the microphone for people watching at home?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Another thing that we're trying to do some more of is education for the public. Which is why I'm glad that Mayor Palmer has invited me here today to speak. We have partnered with the Grand Library on a couple of occasions to give classes, and we're planning a bike rodeo in May to try to promote safe cycling and educate on some of these updates to laws and laws that were not around 10 years ago. So recently we have been seeing and hearing a lot of issues about large groups of juveniles on bicycles, and frankly, when we look at reports that the police department are receiving, we are not seeing at this time, and given some of the reports take a little bit of time before they're readily available due to investigations, but we're not seeing very many reports, if any, about bicyclists attacking motorists or damaging property. If this is occurring, the biggest thing that I can encourage the public to do is to call the police, wait for an officer, and cooperate with that officer to provide a statement. If we want to pursue criminal charges, what's needed and what's necessary is a statement and someone willing to testify the victim in court if that judicial process goes that far. Without that, it is very difficult for us to try to hold some of these people accountable for committing penal crimes. We also hear a lot of questions about bicycle laws. Now, in case you do not know, bicycles have to follow all of the laws of a regular vehicle. That means that they are not allowed on the sidewalk. They are supposed to ride on the right side of the road. They're supposed to stop at stop signs, stop at red lights. And if there's a pedestrian in the crossway, they're supposed to yield to that pedestrian. Bicycles also have to ride no more than 2 abreast in a roadway. E-bicycles have even more laws and classifications. For example, no e-bike in New York State can go over 25 miles per hour, but that's what's called class 3 e-bike in the city of New York City. So outside of the city, no e-bike can go over 20 miles per hour. They must have operable pedals, and they can't be operated by anyone that's under 16 years old. Some of the constraints that we have as the police department is that there are avenues to enforce these laws. However, some of these avenues, including giving traffic tickets, cannot be issued to someone that is under the age of 16. So you must be 16 years old to be issued a ticket. So some things that we try to do as a police department is identify children, juveniles that are consistently causing issues and operating bicycles recklessly. And once we identify them, we contact the parents, and after
bicycle problem or an aggressive juvenile problem. I think that the bicycles, it's kind of, it's a distinction that they could be anywhere on any, they could be walking. The problem is that they are aggressive. Assuming that, but I would encourage the public to call it every time.
Absolutely. We do get many calls for juveniles riding in large groups. However, from what I have seen this year, following our reports, I have not seen any instance where someone has stuck around and provided a statement saying that a juvenile on a bicycle has caused them harm or caused them damage. So if that is occurring, please call and wait for an officer to respond, or come to the station and speak to an officer, and we will conduct a thorough investigation, go through any means that we have available to us. One thing that I would also like to add is that we are not the only city that's dealing with similar issues. Currently, I'm down at the Zone 5 Training Academy in Schenectady. I'm going through a training with many different agencies, at least half a dozen different agencies. And I had a chance today to speak to a couple of different members of different agencies, and they're seeing this where they are as well. A lot of agencies are dealing with some constraints of effectively enforcing these laws and dealing with the juvenile justice system and putting together investigations to hold parents accountable where we cannot hold a juvenile accountable. Another thing that I'd like to point out is that not every child that's out riding a bicycle should be considered aggressive. There are many times that we see a select group of juveniles who we are working on identifying, working on investigations where we can, but it's not always the same ones, and they're not always the ones causing issues and operating the bicycle recklessly. So please keep that in mind as well. Please do not shout at every juvenile on the street. We are also getting reports of that. Please, if there's any issue, contact the police department. Let us do our investigation, and then just know that it is a process, but we will investigate it thoroughly.
Does anyone else have questions from the council?
Did a question, and you answered a lot of it actually, but it seems like the big thing is just to make sure people get a statement by the police if there is an actual incident of aggressive behavior, and to not be afraid of any kid that's on a bike.
Don't be afraid of every single child that you see out riding a bicycle. The weather is starting to get nicer. I am an avid bike rider myself. It's nice to get out and enjoy some of our bike paths. Kids like it too. Not every child is aggressive. And again, just remember that an adult yelling at a juvenile and accosting a juvenile will play out a lot differently than a juvenile accosting an adult.
The other thing I would say is that there are these known bike out activities where there's pre-planning and a group of kids plans to meet and they take over a road, which they're not allowed to do. And what I'm asking the parents of these children to do is work with the city, and we will find a way to make it safe for your child to participate in such an event, because we like kids to be outside exercising. We also like them to follow the traffic laws. So we are asking that if you want to arrange these kind of events, come. We have a process through the Board of Public Safety for blocking off roads. We can arrange these kind of things for you. If we see children who are consistently engaging in that kind of behavior and they don't come and work with us, that is when we will have no choice but to pursue action against the parents. So.
Absolutely, and I'll say that as I mentioned before, we are working with the Crandall Library for May 16th. We are rain date June 6th from noon to 2 p.m. There's going to be a bike rodeo, which we are worked with the city to apply for proper permits, and we will be using the entirety of City Park to put on a rodeo for any young children on tricycles all the way up to adults to come learn how to do basic maintenance on a bicycle, go through some cones and mini bike. There are illegal ones that are obtainable online. So if you're looking to purchase a legal one, it'd be, make sure that you're following the laws and you can come and ask me questions and see some of this.
Thank you.
I have one question. What do you recommend the public should do if they do see a bike that's coming at them on the sidewalk? Because I've seen it and it could be scary, especially if it's a elderly person or someone that has trouble walking, whether it's a wheelchair or crutches. What should they do? Should they immediately call the police or?
If you're on a sidewalk and you see someone recklessly operating a bicycle on a sidewalk, I recommend calling the police, but also stopping where you are. It is most likely that that person operating that bicycle recklessly sees you and they will make a move around you. If you make a quick movement, that may not be something that they were accounting for, and that can cause a collision. So you shouldn't have to, but if you do, I would recommend stopping and notify the police so that we can check the area and make sure that we're able to enforce the laws.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, at this time we'll go to general public comment. If there's anyone from the public who would like to address the council.
Hi, Joy Muller-Makula, Cunningham Avenue, Glens Falls. I'm really happy to see that there are sidewalks going in all over and there are curb cuts going in on my flat corner. I'm wondering if that's getting coordinated with like catch basin clean out and other utilities so that a road isn't dug up twice. I also live where the sidewalk ends, and I'm wondering why the sidewalk does not continue and connect with one on the street. Thank you.
Just to comment that some of the work that's being done now is a continuation of last year's sidewalk contract that they didn't get to finish because of inclement weather that started. And so that work is being done now, and then more work will continue when our new sidewalk and curb contract begins. So that is work that was planned last year that's continuing now.
But is it coordinating with other services?
Yes, yes. Okay. Anyone else have a comment? Okay, so we will move on to our consent agenda. Is there any item from our very lengthy consent agenda? This was a meeting where we, a rare meeting where we had 3 weeks between council meetings, so we have a lot on our agenda. Is there anything that anyone would like to pull for discussion? Yes.
Just a note on 5.13.
Yes.
So it says the Rockwell.
Yes.
So that has to be changed, that's just a clarification, like 516 goals.
5,
Roll call.
16, okay, sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mayor, if we could, we pull 5.5 and then to abstain payment to community actions that's set up before. So,
Sure.
thank you.
Could I, not necessarily want to pull it, but make a comment or highlight 5.11 without the open healing?
Sure. You want to pull it for discussion and then you can make your comment? Sure. Okay.
As well as 5.4, which is the parking violations. With all this parking changes, I'm wondering how that'll be affected. Because I think last month was $9,000 the city generated for parking violations, and I'm wondering how the next couple months after this new parking regulation will affect that.
Okay. Anything else anyone would like to pull for discussion? All right. So first we have 5.4, the parking violation. So your question is?
I guess my big question is that it's not supposed to be meant just revenue, right? Parking violations is just fines for, so hopefully next month the hope is that will be less than what it is, right?
It is revenue.
Oh,
I mean, my hope would be that we have compliance compliance all the time. That would be the goal. I don't know that I can tell you exactly what the numbers would be at this point.
I think it's fair to assume that we'll see a decrease in that revenue, you know, and, but also like, are we counting on that? Is that budgeted for in advance? I don't think so. Like, we're not looking, last year we made this much money in parking fines, let's spend it this year. Because I hope not.
No, I think that's a reasonable hypothesis that it could go down untested at this point. Yes. Okay. Anything else on 5.4?
Well,
Okay.
hopefully, it goes down, and hopefully less people, are in violation.
Okay. 5.5, this is pulled for a roll call vote. We have a roll call vote on 5.5, which is to approve the community development payments.
Councilman Donahue?
Abstain.
Councilman Landry?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Lapham?
Yes.
Councilman Palladino?
Yes.
Okay. 5.5, motion carries. And then the next one is 5.16, which is to accept the Quackville Preserve Grant Site Plan funding.
There's also another error in there, Mayor. It says the city of ABC. The second and third result now.
Can I speak to that? That's just a form that the funding agency provides, so we'll fix that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Were you wanting a roll call vote on that one? Okay.
Councilman Donahue?
Yes.
Councilman Landry?
Abstain?
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Lapham?
No.
Councilman Palladino?
Yes.
Where are we? Okay. So motion carries. Okay. And with nothing else and 5.4 going back in the consent agenda because you just had a discussion.
I think we wanted to talk about 5.11.
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that. 5.11, yes.
I just want to say, I'm super happy that Hope and Healing, is going to be part of the LEAD program, because when they moved from Hudson Falls to Glens Falls last year, they've been such a beacon of the community to try and create a space for people that are going through addiction or mental health crises. And I credit them for my own recovery in 2024 up until now of my own mental health journey. And I'm super happy to have them a part of the city.
Yeah, and just to give you a quick overview, what this is, the city got a grant to begin the LEAD program in Glens Falls Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion, and we partnered with Catholic Charities who will do the case management. Hope and Healing is going to employ the project coordinator who will be doing the organizational work of making sure that this program runs. And so now we have 2 community partners to get this up and running. So that's what that is. Anything further? Anything I missed? Okay, so may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the consent agenda is approved. And now we have 3 items for our regular meeting items. So for item 6.1, is the council comfortable voting on this resolution tonight, or does anyone wish to extend the public hearing? This is regarding the parking that we discussed earlier. I just need a motion.
I would say motion to accept.
Motion to accept. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So we have approved the city's parking ordinance that we discussed earlier. The next item is a resolution to pursue and negotiate a potential sale of the recreation center ice rink. Is there any discussion, any questions?
I have one question. So there's no agreement in place yet. This is just saying that the attorney in the city will reach an agreement with the Glens Falls Youth Hockey Association, or no, Adirondack Youth Hockey Association.
Do you want to answer? everybody knows, the DEC has been involved with our ice rink. They have been since last year. The city had been required to do monitoring on a regular basis, and there was a temporary fix that was put in place last year, and that was to put kind of a sealant on the cooling system. Early this year, we received indication from the DEC that the monitoring showed that there was an increase again, and so we have had to increase our remediation efforts, which include more frequent monitoring, pumping the groundwater out of the ground, storing the water, and we will be hauling the water away. So these costs are adding up significantly. At the same time, the cooling system needs to be replaced. And so we have been very fervently working on a solution that will both allow hockey to resume next year and protect our environment. And we are very lucky that we have a partner in the community that would like to participate. And so we are moving to both an operations contract, not unlike the Civic Center Coalition's contract, and also option to sell. And so there are two resolutions for that today. One is to, that's the next resolution, notice of intent to serve as the secret lead agency for the proposed sale. That needs to happen first. And then we can move forward with the contract after the secret has occurred and with your permission that I'm asking for tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah?
I'm a little confused, Mayor. So are we investigating the sale of it or the management?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, both. In order to actually be able to finalize the sale, we will need legislative approval because it's parkland. And so we will have to seek that. We think we have a good case for that, but in the meantime, we will begin an operations agreement while we await that process. That's the intention. Yes.
If I may,
Yes.
is this a situation where we may need to do a swap of some kind of land that the city owns?
Well, we've already taken in more parkland with the Rockwell Preserve, so I think we're okay there, and the use isn't changing. It's staying exactly the same.
Okay.
Yeah. So what this does is, like I said, it finds a private partner who is actually better equipped for running a facility like this and has the means to fundraise and afford to pay for the growing costs that the taxpayers cannot pay anymore. And we're very lucky that we have that partnership. So we will be pursuing that, and I will have further updates for you. Yep.
I have a question about where that $570,000 number came from. Is that from DEC or how did that number come about? That's a lot.
That's an estimate from Lavella for the cost of remediation over the next year, plus the cost to replace the refrigeration system at ice rink from other consultant.
I did appreciate the third to last paragraph where it says that there will be a contingency that will still be used as a public ice rink. That's kind of good.
Yes, if this agreement works out, they are committed to continuing having open skate, having the high school teams that practice there. We're also very committed to making this a year-round facility, and with a partnership in place, we think we can do that. Yep. Any further questions or discussion? Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion for 6.2, a resolution to pursue and negotiate the potential sale of the recreation center ice rink?
So moved.
Okay.
Second that motion.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And then I would like a motion for resolution 6.3, notice of intent to serve as secret lead agency for the proposed recreation center sale.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. we had so much going on, so I'll do that now. We'll go to committee reports. Councilman Donahue.
Audit and Finance met last meeting at about 5:30 and 6 o'clock. We reviewed the warrant, Councilman Lapham and myself, and we had a visitor, Councilman Palladino, showed up and had some questions. So we did a spot check audit, like little review, and we found it to be sufficient and whatnot. And it was a quick, short meeting.
Thank you. Councilman Rader.
Sure, the Labor Management and Personnel Committee will meet on the 28th of April, 6:30 p.m. in the Mayor's Conference.
Thank you. Councilman Rice.
Policy Committee met today at 5 p.m. We were joined by Steve Thurston. I met with the City Clerk's office prior to this meeting, so we were able to attend. The bulk of the meeting was spent on the encroachment permit policy revision. We had a substantive deliberation. Deliberation highlighted that effective implementation of any encroachment policy will depend on having adequate enforcement resources in place. Something that would ask for the administration to focus on part of its say operational plan. The committee's direction at this point is focusing on insurance and hold harmless requirements for all permit categories, pro-WAG clearance standards, and again, practical and realistic enforcement mechanisms, which we can't really do a encroachment permit policy without that. So we're going to be thinking hard about that for the next month or so and see what we can come up with. Current permits are valid through Labor Day, and we're considering having a 30-day extension to that, and we'll take it from there. Beyond that, other items, the tree commission policies, City Attorney Glasper for drafting, banners policies also in active drafting, vehicles and equipment might take longer because of CBAs. The Technology Committee has a number of policies in the pipeline that we're working on building out technology inventory over the next few months. On the investment policy, the Audit and Finance Committee, I'm kind of waiting for the audit to be complete before I really dig into it with them. They have enough on their plate, in my opinion, before I bother them with that. And just in general, we want to make sure that we have our mandatory policies covered, and just to make sure that our policies that we do have that are mandatory are also adequate. So also we're expecting that the audit findings are likely to generate recommendations with direct implications for the policy committee. Our next meeting is May 12th.
Thank you. I know you have a heavy lift on that committee, and we haven't had a policy committee before, so there's quite a lot to do. Thank you. Councilman Lapp.
The Technology Committee met on, the Policy Committee, Technology, let's start again. The Technology Committee met on, I believe, April 2nd, yeah, Thursday, April 2nd, and we went over a number of things with our vendor, Orbital 5,
piggyback a little bit of what the technology committee had. There was some special guests with some high schoolers that I think it was their policy class or something where they had to go to public meetings. And for any members of the public, all of these meetings are open to the public, and all of them are usually after 4 or 5 o'clock, which is great for work-life balance of typical day jobs. But anyway, our Quality of Life Committee meeting is next Monday on the 20th. And it's going to be jam-packed where we're going to look at the climate action plan from Jeff Flagg. And we're also going to be looking at something exciting that Mayor Palmer, Amy Collins, and Steve Thurston have been working on to make a better, smoother process for occupancy tax applications. And then I also have some fun things that I'm thinking the committee could do to show some recognition with this city.
Thank you. Okay, now we are going to old business. Councilman Donovan.
Old business. I just want to, my thoughts and prayers are with Nikki Guy and her whole family and the Knoxville Fire Department during this difficult time. We just hope she has a full and speedy recovery as quickly as possible. But, she's terrible.
Thank you. Councilman Andrews.
Thank you, Mayor. Quick question. So, on our consent agenda, 5.26 was a resolution to take legal action concerning 9 Marine Avenue. I got a phone call from Services Unlimited today, and they can be paid.
Yes, so, and Attorney Gosford can jump in if I misstate anything, but there was a fire on Marion Avenue, cleanup was required, and Services Unlimited did the cleanup. We were pursuing payment from the insurance that has come in, and you can fill in why the legal action is. Yeah.
Yeah, so the insurance proceeds were paid to the property owner, so we need to recover the proceeds to cover the cost of the demolition directly from the property owner. That's what the resolution is for, so that we can pursue that process and recovery. Then I'll get that.
But is that holding up?
No, it's not. The difficulty with that particular payment and many others, as we've discussed, is that it was an approved expense from the previous administration that was not planned to be in the budget. So although we have this bill, nobody said where the budget was going to be paid from. It's a bill from the 2025 budget, so I have asked our controller to identify a place from the fire department budget where this can be paid. She's doing that. We will make that payment. Luckily, the payment has been made to the insurance of the homeowner. We will recoup that and replenish the budget.
In our budget process, do we set aside money for contingencies like that? So say we had a 40-inch snowstorm, and DPW couldn't plow the streets, we had to bring contractors in. Where would that money come from?
So I asked the same question to the fire chief, and what I was told is there wasn't money set aside for a contingency like that, but it's happened twice in the whole history that anyone in the fire department can remember, that we've had to pay someone to come in to do a cleanup like that. But I think at budget time this year, when we look through the budget, we can definitely make sure that things like that are accounted for. Yeah.
The only reason I ask that is that I don't want us to get a reputation that when we call in under emergencies, contractors, especially local tax-paying contractors, and they submit their bills and they don't get paid, because then we'll get a reputation. I don't want that to happen. That's the reason.
That will not happen going forward, because we will plan for how to pay the bills that we incur. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. What are we on, old business? Old business.
I have none, except to hear Councilman Donohue's sentiment on fire.
No.
Old business.
My business was to thank White Glove Janitorial Service for providing trash bags and gloves, and DPW for helping pick up all of the trash that we picked up on a community cleanup that I had on March 29th. It was amazing. There was like more than a dozen residents that came out on a slightly cold Sunday morning, and we picked up a whole bunch of trash all along the Hudson, as well as a shopping cart from Walmart that was in the feeder canal. So the place is a little cleaner.
Thank you. And now we go to new business. Councilman Dunn.
There will be a fundraiser for Mickey Guy at the Orange Shoe Tavern in the VFW from 2 to 5 this Sunday. Hope you all can come.
Thank you. Councilman Landry.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Downtown Cleanup Day is this Saturday, April 18th. Anybody wishing to come down and push a broom, take a rake, pick up some papers, whatever it is we're going to do, meet in the parking lot, the City Hall parking lot next door here at 9 o'clock. We're going to work between 9 and 11 a.m. This is a very good thing that they're doing. It's a combination of the bid and collaborative doing this. I think it'll be good for our downtown. On behalf of all the downtown businesses, Mayor, I'd like to thank you for instituting a walking foot patrol in the downtown area Monday through Friday. I think that's a good thing to just create that atmosphere of safety for individuals that live in the city and come downtown, and for those individuals that visit. So I'm glad to see that, and I thank you for that. Lastly, I noticed in the second ward anyway, that people still think you can buy your leaves in the road and just leave. And that just raises havoc with Bill Norton's sewers. So if you would, everything has to be bagged for it to be picked up. Please adhere to that policy.
Thank you.
Another business.
Just piggybacking on what Councilmember Landry said, I'm just looking, and it says for the cleanup that is it's held in honor of late Michael Cadis, and that Radici is going to provide refreshments, and that the first 50 people will get a T-shirt. Yeah, I'm telling you, this is like you can't. And open pickup, you get until April 20th, 4/20, when he has his meeting. That's it.
Thank you.
I guess seems like we're all excited for Earth Day, but there's another cleanup also on the same exact day with the Feeder Canal Alliance. They're going to meet at Murray Street Park and then clean up all along Prime's Path and the Feeder Canal. So there's many opportunities to clean, which is kind of exciting.
Is Radici going to be
I
providing refreshments?
don't think there'll be any refreshments.
I think that the downtown one's going to be better.
Probably. We want to keep our Hudson River clean as well, and Feeder Canal. But then also on that same day, there's going to be the Rotary 5K, also at 9 o'clock at the SUNY Adirondack. So a lot of things going on all at once on Saturday.
Thank you. New business for me, I have good news that we did receive a couple proposals back from the request for proposals we put out for operating the ED and the 36 We had a really good meeting today, and I'll keep you posted as we move forward, but we do have some interest. I also wanted to follow up on the alley that is kind of in between all those businesses. We had a meeting with stakeholders. I had asked our city engineer, Jeremy Schmeichel, if we could fit that alley into our paving schedule. And I know he worked with Bill Norton, our water and sewer superintendent, and we do plan to repave and hopefully regrade that alley on this cycle, and hopefully that will help with a lot of the problems and the drainage and all of that, so that's good news. I also wanted to mention, in terms of our firefighter, Mickey Guy, I met the ambulance at Albany Med when they brought her in last Thursday, and I stayed with her family that evening, and I went back to the hospital Friday. I can tell you that there is an outpouring of people who were trained by Mickey, who worked with Mickey, who knew her from the community, and and so many people are pulling for her. I appreciate your comments. I want to also, in addition to the benefit that people discussed, the local 2230 firefighters union has arranged with Arrow Bank to collect money into an account that will go to Nikki's family. And they say that anyone interested in donating can walk into any Arrow Bank location and make a donation. You can also make checks out to the Nikki Guy benefit account, and that goes to Glens Falls Firefighters Association, P.O. Box 300, and that's Glens Falls, New York 12801. All of that information, we shared the union's Facebook post on our Facebook post, so you can find it there, or you can walk into any Arrow Bank. For people who may have already donated to a different GoFundMe, that money is going to be transferred into this bank account. That's all I have for new business at this time. Does anyone from the public wish to address us for public comment?
How we doing? My name is Matt Young. I live on Carroll Drive in Queensbury. I just want to take a moment, first time I've ever been to one of these meetings. I'm a real estate investor. Also have my business partner here, Trevor, as well. We're really looking to help clean up these communities, especially within the Hudson Falls, Salton Falls, Glens Falls community area. Didn't know if there's anything that we can do to help you, if you can help us. By identifying maybe some more distressed properties. Downtown looks beautiful, however, the majority of the residents aren't going to live in downtown, they live in the outskirts. And we've walked quite a few properties in some of these towns, and they look fairly rough. And there's kids and families living in those. We really want to clean up the neighborhoods, clean up these homes, and get affordable, clean housing for everybody. I'm also would love to consider looking into sober living homes in this area, and or even an extension to the Lake House for some homeless youth. I know we do a great job of that. However, there are also a lot of students that transition from graduating from high school into the real world that really do struggle, and sometimes the Lake House can't provide those services to them as well. So just want to take a moment to introduce ourselves, just know that we're all there to help. Also, I didn't know, occasionally we go from door to door, kind of knocking to see if anybody's interested in selling properties. Is there a soliciting law here in Glens Falls that we need to worry about, or like, handing out flyers to people as we walk by the properties?
Yes, and that would be something that we have to provide a little bit more information to you on, figure out their contact information after the meeting.
Awesome.
We reach out to the clerk's office as well.
I think that would be the best part. Great. Awesome. Just take a moment to introduce ourselves. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll kind of just recap about that. So my name is Trevor McCarthy. I was a jockey for 12 years. I rode at Saratoga Racecourse for 4 years. I rode on the Irish Circuit for 4 years. I retired in August of 24 due to mental health. Now I'm an advocate for a jockey bonus and mental health for jockeys. But as part of with Matt trying to clean up the area, I am in contract now with a distressed property on Mount Con Street. We're going to be able to provide affordable, safe, up-to-code housing for 2 tenants. It's a duplex. So this is just an example here if you want to pass around of a property we did in Hudson Falls back in August. So if there's any way that we can kind of work with you guys on finding these vacant properties or distressed properties, or getting taxes paid up and people in tough situations and getting those houses before they go to foreclosure. I know I've talked to Mary Gooden, and she wanted to invite me here tonight. So yeah, we would love to work with you guys and see how we can find a solution. The South Glens Falls, Hudson Falls, they've been really great to work with so far. So I'm hoping that we can have some partnerships too.
Good for you, man.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comment? I also have one proclamation for tonight. This was a request from Amy Trolstra Meyer, and this is regarding National Infertility Awareness Week. And so I will read that proclamation. Whereas according to the CDC, 1 in 7 women have trouble getting pregnant or sustaining a pregnancy, and whereas the World Health Organization and American Medical Association define infertility as a disease, and whereas infertility affects women and men equally and does not discriminate based on race, religion, sexual orientation, marital status, or socioeconomic level, And whereas the LGBTQ community also faces challenges when building their families, and whereas some people become infertile due to a medical treatment for another condition, most often chemotherapy or radiation for cancer, and whereas family building options include adoption and medical treatment such as in vitro fertilization and third-party reproduction, and whereas cost and lack of insurance coverage are barriers for many in Glens Falls, New York, to access the family building option they need, and whereas raising awareness of infertility and the barriers faced by the family building community is the first step to removing these barriers, and whereas Glens Falls joins Resolve, the National Infertility and Family Building Association, and dedicated volunteers, healthcare professionals, and members of the infertility and family building community by participating in this promotion, I do hereby proclaim April 20 to 26 National Infertility Awareness Week in Glens Falls. Okay, and the last item is that I need to ask you, even though it's been a very long meeting, to go into executive session to discuss matters related to promotion and sorry, can you help me out here? Long meeting.
Under public officers law, section 105(1)(f), to discuss matters relating to the employment of a particular person and the medical history of a particular person.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone make a motion to go into executive session? Second, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we are in executive session. Thank you all for being here tonight.